What's up, everybody? This is Chieftain, and I'm here with the one and only Blacklight Oni and the beautifully bearded bastard Hero, and you're watching Laggin Out Season 10.
Bam, 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 bam.
Don't make my voice really high. Make it really low. There he goes. He's drinking his adult beverage in the morning. Just kidding.
Totally adult.
Monster! Monster. Brought to you by Monster! Not really.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but please sponsor us. Give us money. And Nintendo games. If you know that reference, you know that was from Rick and Morty. But as you see in the title of our beautifully designed thumbnails done by me, we are talking about retro esports that we played when we were kids or young adults. This was a tough one for this was a tough one for Oni. Because she actually writes in the video, fuck sports games, they make no sense. Go outside. Racing games make sense. And then a note to all of us says, you get 3 each. Take it or leave it. Okay, thank you, Oni, our very smart producer here. So, you being the biggest wise ass today, you get the wise ass award.
I'm going to give you the wise ass stick.
Yeah, like everyone gets a turn. So, what are your top 3 games? I only see 2 here, but what are your top 2 games, retro games, that you enjoyed playing, Oni?
Well, they're not that retro because we didn't really have that kind of stuff when I was a kid. So, I had ATVR for Fury 2, and I had Test Drive Off-Road. ATVR for Fury 2 for the PlayStation 2.
I will say
that
that Sony PlayStation, even PS2 now can be considered retro. I think if you look at some people, they're saying that they're retro now, and I'm like losing my mind. Like, this wasn't that long ago. It was when I was a kid. Oh, I'm old now.
Well, I'm just thinking like when I think retro, I think like 64-bit, 32-bit, early Pokemon
64?
Stadium.
64-bit was like Nintendo 64 era, which was PlayStation era, which was Xbox era.
Xbox was a year or 2 later.
But they also
that.
didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Well, the polygons seemed to be. Well, I could like first PlayStation, yes, but PlayStation 2, I feel like was a different generation. Like it was the generation after that one. So yeah, I played PlayStation 2. The earliest game console we had was the Sega Genesis. Which I think ours was the...
That's definitely retro. Heck.
But we didn't have sports games. We had 3 games. 2 of them weren't even ours. Okay? And also one of them scarred us for life.
She was so poor, she couldn't afford the OR. She was just Poe. Sounds like my life.
But, yeah, we had ATVR for Free 2, which... had a glitch in it or something wouldn't save right, so we kept there were ways to unlock ATVs and gear and all that shit, but the thing is that it would not remember if we didn't go back to the game for a while. It wouldn't remember that we unlocked a series of ATVs, so we'd have to redo the test course again to re-unlock them, and there was a line of audio that would glitch out, so he would repeat what he just said, which is hilarious. But then Test Drive Off-Road, they had a pretty good variety of vehicles. Yeah, they had a Jeep. Hell yeah, they had the Jeep Classic. I think.
Oni's a big Jeep fan, so yeah.
Can't remember which one, but they had one of the Wrangler models. And one of them was Moab, Utah. One of them would be like Hawaii. I know you don't give a fuck. You can stop nodding like you give a shit.
I'm
it was fun,
listening attentively.
But at the same time, we just weren't really sports game fans, mostly because we grew up like hitting each other with sticks and shit, so
Yeah, well, I think everyone did that, like go in the woods and like
everybody
jump
that's sane did that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one time in California, I tried to swing from a tree in the backyard. That bitch tipped over. Turns out it had been very dead. So then I'm like,
girl.
so then I'm like walking up and I'm like, Mom, Dad, I broke the tree. My dad looked outside. He's like, oh, I hated that tree. Thanks. I'm like, okay, cool. Works for me.
Monkey girl broke the tree. She was like a Monchichi or something.
Yeah.
Little walk
Awesome.
of shame.
So
It sounded almost like this one time at band camp story.
right, but not quite Bandcamp. All right, thank you so much, Oni, for your two very motorsports games. Right?
Hey, motorsports camp.
Well, yeah, most of us can't afford most of those vehicles, so.
That's true. That's true.
It gives it a good rating on the fantasy scale if you can't afford that vehicle.
If you guys really like retro games, like mine are so fucking old that I think you had had a hamster in it, and you had to crank up the console for to play the games.
Yeah,
that
that sounds about right, actually, Chieftain. Does that mean that we need to put you in the museum alongside these retro games?
Damn! I'm old. Just my back.
Just your back.
Yeah.
It's from carrying the team.
Actually, when I was like 11 or 12 years old, I actually saved up for my own NES, which was $100 back then.
Yeah,
I mowed
which was
a lot
of
lawns.
money back then.
Yeah, and the games were $40 each. So I picked 3 games, 2 of which are Nintendo, believe it or not. The first one was Bases Loaded 2 for the NES. Bases Loaded 2.
I remember this one.
Yeah, it was great because you can modify a lot of the you can modify your lineups. I think they had all the Major League players' names in there. I'm not 100% sure, but I used to play like the whole 162 game season with my brother, and sometimes we'd play the whole season. The bad thing is I don't think you could save on it. From what I remember, I don't think you could. But that was such a fun game. You actually brought it over to your friend's house, and you could play in the cartridge form. That was
This is
one
where where families, would be torn apart by games like this.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Beating each other with the controllers.
Oh yeah, my brother used to throw the controller at the tempered glass.
Oh.
When he would lose, yeah, I remember that. That was not just any sports game; that was any game. The second one is actually a Sega Genesis game, believe it or not. And it was. I'm gonna be dating myself. Oh my fucking god, I'm gonna be dating myself. NHL Hockey '95. Specifically 1995. I don't think Oni was born in 1995, but
I was.
Or if she was still pooping in her diapers.
I was literally born in 1995.
Yeah, she was literally shitting in diapers when I was playing this game. But yeah, this was a year after the New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup. I'm not gonna bore you with the details, but I was not a Rangers fan. I was an Islanders fan, and they hate each other. And the game had a lot of options, like you can turn on and off some of the rules, like 2-line passes. You can't pass over 2 lines back then, and you can actually switch out your lines. Like the energy would drop down if your people were on the ice too long. You can actually do switch out your lines, and you had 3 lines. You had a first line, second line, and a check line, and you can switch them out during the game. Or
That's
you could
pretty
just turn
elaborate.
It off, and you could just. It was pretty elaborate for back then, yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And it had a glitch in it where if you run perpendicular with the goalie and just do a side shot, you can score a goal every time. There was a glitch in the game, which I really, really liked.
So
The third one,
what you're saying is you abused the fuck out of that, and your brother.
everyone
shit
abused
at you.
Of course, everyone abused the fuck out of it. And I always used the shitty team. I always used the Islanders because they were really bad in '95. But yeah, you would abuse the fuck out of it. I'd use the Canucks because they were in the Stanley Cup Finals. But Pavel Bure was the fastest guy on there. He was kind of like the Bo Jackson for Tecmo Bowl. That's the comparison, if anyone can get that. And the third one is... Anyway, moving on to my third one, because we're kind of getting short on time. But Oni's going to like this. I actually played a Game Boy in my life. It was the original Game Boy, and it was F1 Race, the OG for Game Boy. And it was a racing game. It was kind of like Pole Position. It was Forza without the graphics. And that game was fun playing with a Game Link, which is on all the Game Boys that I was educated in. And I would play with my brother all the time, and I wouldn't win the whole time. I'd win half the time. But those are the 3 games I used. So in review, 2 Nintendo games and 1 Genesis game, and all in the 90s. So there we go. So there's mine.
The 90s were a magical time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was after the 80s arcade crash, gaming crash. But Hero, what are your 3/4 favorite retro sports games, sir?
Well, I've got, yes, 3 that I say that were my top and 1 honorable mention because I would be very remiss because the theme of the type of sports games that I got into. I have always been on record saying that I don't like sports games. I've always clowned on Soda and Unchieftain because they're both sports fans and I could give 2 shits less.
2 hours later.
But I did, in my younger years, play some sports games, but none of them were the type of sports games that were serious. They were very unrealistic. NBA
What was the
Jam
first one?
for all consoles, but the one that I played most was the one on Sega Genesis. I saw that.
He's on fire!
Yes. Yes, the He's on Fire line, where the ball would catch fire after you got 3 consecutive successful scores. So your character would be on fire. And every shot, for at least 10 shots that you made within the paint or within the 3-point arc, would automatically be successful. That's what that feature was. And
I wish I would have picked that.
you'd be running around with 2 to 3 players. I think it was actually only 2 players on the court.
Yeah, it was 2 players. It was 2 on
Yep.
2 full court. Giant heads.
Yes, giant heads. That cheat, quote cheat. It wasn't really a cheat. It was
Cheat codes, though.
It was.
Oh.
It was a feature that would unlock after you got so many wins.
Right.
Cheat codes
You're
made
right.
these games so much better.
Yes,
definitely.
yes. The giant heads, hack, cheat, whatever. It was so funny. I would always create a custom character, and I would name my character Bat because I would use the Bat character head, and I would always play as the
okay.
Chicago Bulls because I didn't know any better.
I think you can make. I think you can make games in NHL hockey. I called one guy Elephantitis. You could do a custom player. Yeah. I remember that. What was your second game? What was your second game, Hero?
I was gonna say. Speaking of hockey, my second game is Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. Now this one's the same dilemma as what Oni said because it came out during the 64 era, and
So
it
retro.
was a 3D hockey game. And it's funny because all the videos that I find of this particular game are very low quality, blurry games, and the video that I found for NBA Jam actually was pretty damn crisp. It's kind of funny. But Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, I really enjoyed, again, because the unrealistic physics engine where, okay, yeah, you had your little on-the-ice fights. The person that loses ends up in the penalty box. You got 3 characters on the ice at a time. And the feature that they had was similar to NBA Jam, where you'd have a turbo button so that you could turbo skate across the ice, or if you hit the turbo button at the same time as you were taking a shot, it would be a power shot and the puck would catch fire. And regardless of whether or not the goalie stops the puck or not, it would count as a goal because the goalie would get slammed into the net and the net would explode.
Oh, that's bullshit, man.
Not mad.
And I abused
A,
the
dude.
fuck out of that.
Yeah, like I manipulate, like the way I would manipulate the game I played, you would manipulate the game you played.
Now the other thing is there was also, you could switch which character you are on the ice. There is a similar feature for the goalie where the animation of the character would be that the goalie, if you hit the turbo button at the right moment, the goalie would turn into a literal brick wall and stop the puck.
Okay.
And the announcer would always be like, that puck's on fire, or that goalie's a brick wall, and
Right.
he'd turn
They
into
used
a
to-
brick
they-
wall.
They call it now when a goalie makes a goal. It's like, wow, he stood on his head to make that save. There's like body parts going everywhere.
Yeah.
So, like, you see, it's like goalies. They do like these guys they do full splits and they're making these great moves. So they say, oh, he was standing on his head making that save. Back then, it was a brick wall. Yeah.
Now,
What was your
my third one, since you're going that direction, my third one would be Road Rash. Now, I know that
count?
Oni would really find this game entertaining because it's a motorsports game.
Oh, yeah,
It's
definitely.
literally
NES, right?
racing motorcycles from the behind view, and we're talking like motorcycle racing as bad as like street football or street
Kind
hockey.
of like Hell's Angels meets
So like in arcades.
Definitely,
Yeah.
exactly. It was
Like,
an
you
arcade game.
Okay,
Now,
I may have seen an iteration or two.
Yeah.
Now the big deal about
describe-
Road
the game
Rash
is fucking crazy
was-
though.
you get the higher you place, the more money you get. Obviously, you could buy different bikes, and you also would often run into other racers that would have chains, baseball bats, and other weapons to knock you off your bike so that they could take the lead.
Okay, I
And
don't remember those features.
There was always a button where
I was
if you
thinking
and you
the
could
same thing.
you could actually kick the other people next to you. So like you'd hit the button to attack, and the person would be like straight stick his foot out and kick the other bike to knock him over. And if you hit that button at the right moment when another person with a weapon was using it, your dude would steal the weapon and whack him with it.
Bro! Oh, I would. Ooh.
It's like Mike Tyson's Punch Out meets Road Rash, which is
Exactly.
an honorable mention
And
as well.
Road Rash
One of
is
my
something
favorite
that's
games.
been around since the Genesis era, and it was
Dave and
mostly on the
Buster's game.
Genesis. And I would say that it went all the way up to the N64 era. Now, I would be very remiss if I did not mention this next one. Honorable mention, Mutant League Football. We're talking
Oh!
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. It was very much across many platforms. And apparently it's been revived recently on current modern day consoles, but I wasn't aware of it until today. But specifically, the thing about Mutant League Football is dirty sportsmanship.
All right.
You could do plays where you could bribe the ref, and the ref would just call fouls on the opponents. You could do plays where your quarterback could kill the ref. You could do plays where your defense.
Like, I want to play this game.
You could do plays where the defense kills the quarterback. You could do plays where just everything's crazy. Injuries are very brutal and graphic. Blood spray is real. This is a very violent game. I saw a little bit of gameplay of this revival game that I just discovered today, where it was between plays and one player ran up to another and straight fucking Russian suplexed this other dude, and he turned into a pile of bones, just body parts exploding when he got suplexed.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like I said,
crazy.
it's just
I never
a
played that
great
game.
game.
Is it? An honorable mention also is Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Yes,
Can I have
Oni.
I forgot
Yeah.
one game that Honey Badger had that we played was Tony Hawk's Underground.
Yes.
I forgot we had that. And
That's a popular game.
I forgot that is a sport because I don't remember shit. So, yeah. Oh, hey, I had 3.
What were your popular games, guys? Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe at the links below. And don't forget to bang that bell at the top right-hand corner of the screen so you never miss an episode of Lagging Out Live, the replay, and Lagging Out Season 10. So on behalf of Blacklight Oni, Hero, he's on fire! And Chieftain, who lives in the penalty box in NHL Hockey 95, signing off and lagging out.